Born in Reșița in 1980, Cristian Chivu seems to have always been destined to play and work in football. His father, Mircea Chivu, is a former CSM Reșița player and manager. The stadium in Reșița is named after him. And, as Cristian described it in an interview, when he was a child, there were many talks about football. He started his youth career in 1991 at CSM Reșița and in 1997 moved up to the senior team. But he played only one season for his hometown, moving to Universitatea Craiova in 1998, after 24 appearances for the Reșița club. That move was a very good one for Cristian Chivu, Universitatea Craiova being a well-known first league side. However, that period was a sad one for him, as his father recently passed away, which made life difficult for Cristian. As he described it, he was a bit lonely in the beginning of his career in Craiova, not talking to too many people. But that period also helped him internalize what he lived, helped him observe and improve himself. In many ways, it helped him become the leader he demonstrated he can be later on in his career. He made 32 appearances for Universitatea Craiova, moving to Ajax Amsterdam after just one season in 1999. At Ajax, Chivu developed a reputation as a reliable fullback and a free kick specialist. Then manager Ronald Koeman appointed him as captain of the club. One of the journalists seems to have told Chivu that the way he approaches things made him think that the Romanian player was at least 10 years older than he was at the time. Cristian Chivu, as Ajax's captain, led a dressing room full of young talented players: Rafael van der Vaart, Wesley Sneijder, Johnny Heitinga, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Steven Pienaar, and Maxwell. Chivu played a pivotal role for Ajax in the UEFA Champions League run in the 2002-2003 season, when they came to within a minute of the semi-finals. And AS Roma noticed. So, after 4 seasons spent in Amsterdam, he moved to AS Roma. But he soon found out how different football was in Italy compared to what he had experienced so far in his career. As he described it, the Italian football demanded discipline, rigor, and physicality. In time, Chivu became a reliable player for the club, but injuries did not really help. He won the 2006-2007 Coppa d'Italia in his last season with Roma. And during the summer transfer window, he was, once again, a subject of transfer speculation, with newly crowned La Liga champions Real Madrid reportedly making a formal bid, while Barcelona and Inter Milan were also interested in signing the defender. As he described it, he seemed to have discussed with the Roman club who guaranteed that they would not sell him. However, as rumors started, Roma began to entertain some offers, which unnerved Chivu. So, he had a discussion with the Roman board and informed them that the club of his choice was Inter Milan. The problem was, Inter Milan's offer wasn't the highest one, but Chivu was set to go there, and thus began Chivu's arguably best time of his career. His first season with the defending Serie A champions was a successful one, as he won the Serie A title that had eluded him during his time at Roma. Chivu was a regular at left back during the 2009-2010 season, as Valder Samuel and Lucio became the preferred centre-back pairing. But, on the 6th of January though, in a match against Chievo, Chivu was thrashed off early in the second half after colliding heads with Chievo striker Sergio Pellissier. That collision became the worst injury in his career. He was rushed to the hospital and, as described by reports at the time, his life was in danger. He was in 2 hours of surgery for a skull fracture, and after a tense period for his family, he woke up and no permanent damage existed. But the situation wasn't a very good one. Cristian Chivu suffered from side effects, some of which required medicine to treat, and that medicine reportedly caused him to be very angry and snap out at people or situations. He described in an interview that there were moments after the injury when he would snap at opponents or referees after games, and his teammates had to calm him down. But he moved past that period, and the recovery was faster than initially predicted, which helped him play in Inter Milan's arguably most important UEFA Champions League tie in recent history. On the 20th of April 2010, Inter Milan won the first leg of the tie against Barcelona 3-1, and 8 days later, the Nerazzurri faced a stadium full of Blaugrana fans and a team full of stars, hungry for revenge and to tie the aggregate scoreline. But Jose Mourinho's setup made it very difficult for Barcelona to create chances, and the match balance was put at risk by a controversial foul made by Thiago Motta, who received a red card in the 20th minute. That made Inter's setup to reshuffle and Chivu was moved more centrally, to help tuck in and make the defense compact again, closing every channel Leo Messi and his teammates might find. Barcelona broke through eventually, in the 84th minute, but it was too late. Inter Milan's players held on for just a few more minutes and walked away with a result maybe few people saw coming, which qualified them to the UEFA Champions League final, and prompted one of the coolest celebrations in recent football history, in my opinion. So, Cristian Chivu was set to play his first UEFA Champions League final against Bayern Munich at the Santiago Bernabeu. In that final, Inter were unleashed and managed to edge out Bayern, winning the coveted European trophy. And that season turned out to be one of the best seasons in Inter's recent history, as I said, as the team managed to win the treble. A very special moment for the special one, Cristian Chivu, and the rest of the team. After spending a few more seasons in Milan, Chivu left Inter after his contract was terminated by mutual consent on the 31st of March 2014. The very same day, he announced his retirement from football on his Facebook page. On an international level, the results were not so fruitful. He made 75 appearances for the senior national team, but did not manage to guide the team to too many major competitions, but not for the lack of trying. They did qualify to the Euro 2008 though. From an international career perspective, Chivu was at a crossroads. He managed to play with the so-dubbed Romanian Golden Generation, representing Romania at the Euro 2000, where he played all 4 matches and managed to score his first international goal. But as soon as the Golden Generation players started to retire, Chivu was thrown into a national rebuild, which lasted a few years and had consequences for the national team's form and results. At Euro 2008, he earned plaudits for his performance, keeping previous FIFA World Cup champions Italy and runners-up France at bay, despite being played in a less familiar role as a holding midfielder. He captained Romania through the World Cup qualification, but they failed to make the playoffs, finishing 5th in their group. And on the 21st of May 2011, Chivu announced his retirement from the national team. After retiring permanently in 2014, he spent more time with his family and did not want to go back to football as a manager. Slowly, he started being involved in UEFA projects, being mostly a UEFA technical observer. As he mentioned in an interview, that helped him analyze the game more and led to him meet great managers. And the conversations he had with those great managers rekindled his love for the pitch, for the touchline. But as he is a perfectionist and did not want to jump over stages, he enrolled in the UEFA Pro license courses at Coverciano and started working with the Inter Milan's U14 team. As he put it, paraphrasing him, he wanted to understand what it meant to manage a team. He wanted to make mistakes and learn from them, and by doing so, he managed the youth teams of Inter Milan for several years, going from the U14 to the U19, the Primavera team. A team with which he managed to win the Primavera title. If I'm not mistaken, he mentioned that 12 players he coached at the U14 reached all the way up to the Primavera team, and that is not including Francesco Pio Esposito, who preferred to go on loan at Spezia instead of playing for the Primavera. However, the big step in Cristian Chivu's managerial career came in February 2025, when a club in a dire situation in the Serie A came calling, AC Parma. Chivu started implementing his ideas, and the results showed the good job he was doing. In June 2025, he took over the Nerazzurri team and the Serie A, never looking back. And at the moment of recording this video, his side is very close to winning the Serie A title. As a manager, according to him, he values very much discipline and the willingness to do everything for the team and to win the match. His tactical principles are clear, but flexible. He seems to favor a 3-5-2 setup, but to be honest, who doesn't these days in the Italian football? There were instances when he fielded the 4-3-3, but rarely. At Parma, his team played more cautiously, with a mid-block and trying to score on the counter as much as possible. At Inter, his team plays more positively, as they are one of the best teams in the league, with a high line and sometimes a high press and trying to control the match. Chivu continued the good work Inzaghi did tactically and gave the same freedom to Alessandro Bastoni and Federico Di Marco to roam from their positions at times. Especially Bastoni, who starts the game as a centre-back but ends up often in a winger or a mezzala role. The fluid movement the Inter players display is generated by a very good understanding of the game and a good sense of positioning. No movement is done without a cover. If Bastoni goes up, Acerbi and Akanji drift to cover his position, and Barella holds his position or drops in the defense to cover as well. If DiMarco goes up, Bastoni is there to cover. The same happens on the right flank, with Dumfries sometimes going up the pitch, seldom drifting inwardly as an inverted wingback. That triggers Akanji to cover his part and DiMarco or Barella to drop and cover the defense. Up front, Çalhanoğlu sometimes becomes a third striker, moving into channels, which triggers Thuram to drift wide and Martinez or Pio Esposito to push up into the box. Zielinski and Mkhitaryan, when he plays, arrive late in the opposition's box, and Barella plays like a halfback carrilero merged with a deep line playmaker. He tends to be where space is left out in the midfield and tries to cover as much as possible. I tried to recreate the same kind of movement in the game, but with the restrictions of the match engine in mind. The formation is a 3-5-2 which transforms in a 5-3-2 when out of possession. The goalkeeper, Zomer, is a sweeper keeper on defense, as he becomes a passing option when needed and sweeps up loose balls when the defense is too far out. The back three are a wide center back on defense, a central defender on cover, and a wide center back on support. The wide center back on defense can also be a ball-playing defender if you want to restrict his movement in possession. As player instructions, I asked the wide center backs to tackle harder. The midfield is made of two wingbacks, a deep line playmaker, a box-to-box midfielder, and a center midfielder. The wingbacks are one on support on the right side and one on attack on the left side. I chose this setup as the wide center back on support will go off the pitch, so the wingback must make room for him. Also, DiMarco tends to play further up the pitch than Dumfries at times. I asked the wingback on the right side to cut inside with the ball to try and replicate how Dumfries plays sometimes. I chose a deep line playmaker in the end for Nicolo Barella, but as mentioned earlier, the player here can be assigned a wide range of roles. I asked the player to tackle harder to make sure they press the opponent and tackle when needed. This is crucial as the team's setup invites the counter-attack from the opposition, and in front of him, Zielinski was assigned the box-to-box role to replicate his movement, and for Çalhanoğlu, I could have gone for an advanced playmaker and pushed him further up the pitch, but I find it that the center midfielder role, especially on support duty, covers better the needs for this position. I asked Zielinski to get further forward and move into channels, and Çalhanoğlu roam from position, move into channels and close down more. And the strikers are a deep line forward on attack and an advanced forward. Lautaro Martinez is asked to roam from position and tackle harder, while Marquis Thuram is asked to close down more and tackle harder. If your strikers are not as prolific and experienced, you could assign a more traditional role of maybe an advanced forward and possibly a pressing forward or a poacher to increase the pressure that is put on the opposition's back line. In possession, we have a standard width, layout of defense, shorter passing diagonals, and a standard tempo. Also, the players are asked to play for set pieces and be more disciplined to make sure that the tactical principles are well implemented. In transition, counter-press, counter, and distribute the ball quickly to the defense. And out of possession, a high press, a standard defensive line, and the press is balanced. I chose the balanced pressing as I noticed that Inter don't press collectively that much. The press is done more through the individual instructions of the players. Get stuck in, trap outside, and invite crosses were also chosen to make sure that the team applies pressure on the opposition when playing without the ball and that the defensive shape remains compact. As a result, I simulated only one season and Inter were up there fighting for the league title. But Juventus got the better of everyone this season. However, Inter scored the most goals and conceded the fewest in the league. In other competitions, the team won the Italian Cup, were runners-up in the Super Cup, and were eliminated by Arsenal, of all teams, in the UEFA Champions League round of 16. Cristian Chivu is a young manager who started his career very well. As he put it, he lives each day in the present, the past is already gone, and the future is built today.